The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is one of the most complex issues facing the world. At the heart of the conflict, the heart of the country, at the center of the controversy, stands the city of Jerusalem. The Jerusalem Institute for Israel Studies is an independent institute for policy study, which for 30 years has been engaged in the study of Jerusalem from numerous and various aspects. With the start of the political process between Israel and the Palestinians in the early 1990s, the JIIS began focusing its studies on the key issue facing the city, the political conflict and its future solution. To examine this issue, the JIIS brought together a skilled think tank. The team maintains a low media profile due to the subject's importance and sensitivity, which for many years was taboo and did not produce any real public discussion. Specialists from relevant research spheres were chosen to be part of the think tank, including psychologists, sociologists, historians, religious leaders, and legal experts.
If we try to negotiate about sovereignty and to reach a compromise, we are hopeless. There's no chance that either the Israelis or the Palestinians would give up their claim to sovereignty over Jerusalem. Therefore, I have proposed that sovereignty should either be suspended for 20 years or for 50 years, and maybe it can be discussed later when the two countries are in much better terms. Another possibility would be to have joint sovereignty. What is very important is the clear and detailed division of powers between the parties.
Using an objective research approach that was as politically neutral as possible, the researchers examined the various issues and their alternative solutions from the perspectives of both sides to the conflict. As part of the research work, different possible scenarios were formulated regarding Jerusalem's future on a variety of relevant topics, such as borders, citizenship, sovereignty, security, administration, holy sites, economy, and negotiating strategies. The study included dialogue and presentation of the Institute's positions to policy shapers and senior government officials. At the Camp David Summit in 2000, where the issue of Jerusalem was officially placed on the negotiating table for the first time, Prime Minister Ehud Barak looked to the work of the JIIS for assistance. Mr. Reuven Merhav, a senior research fellow who was part of the JIIS think tank and a former Foreign Ministry Director General, participated in the summit as an advisor to the Israeli delegation, and there he presented the work carried out by JIIS. Concomitant with political and security developments, JIIS continued its research, and in the last year a new think tank met at the Institute to examine options for an arrangement based on lessons learned from the past.
The Jerusalem Institute views its mission to provide decision makers with information and updated analysis of the positions of all parties involved in the conflict. Therefore, we analyzed the positions as well as the interests of Israelis and Palestinians, and we tried to redefine the interests of the Israelis and to list them according to priorities.
The team concentrated on the issues that are at the core of the discussion regarding Jerusalem: the status of the historic basin, the Temple Mount, and the holy sites, the status of Arab and Jewish neighborhoods in East Jerusalem, practical strategies for managing the city, open model versus closed model, and establishing two capital cities.
There are actually three possibilities of a kind of a border within Jerusalem. One of them is a closed border totally, which means a complete separation, some kind of very hard border. People are unable to move from one side to another. In this case, there is a lot of advantages from a point of view of the security, point of view of economic. It's a very simple solution, very clear solution. The other one is a complete open border. There are advantages from psychological point of view that this is an open city, free movement of tourists, of Israeli, of Palestinians, as in any other normal city. And the third possibility is an open border only in part of the city, mainly in the main section of the urban area. Part of the city will be closed, other will be open, but only for pedestrians to move from side to side, not with vehicles. According to the first analysis that we have done, more criteria are in favor of the complete closed border. A city with a border within it, from an urban point of view, is unable to function in a normal way.
Jerusalem and its holy sites are protected values for both nations, which intensifies the conflict's emotional aspects and makes it that much harder to reach a compromise. Any possible compromise must be based solely on a mutual recognition of each side's rights and affinity to its religious, historical, and national sites, and maintaining the status quo at the holy places. Such a compromise is not possible under conditions of mistrust and deep political and social division between the two peoples.
Well, the major issue of Jerusalem is the holy places, and particularly one shrine, sanctuary, which is the Temple Mount for the Jews, or Al-Haram al-Sharif to the Muslims, or what they sometimes call the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Water, you can divide. Oil, you can divide. Protected value, you cannot divide. Why? It's part of your identity, it's part of your religion. Because of that, people will become very angry when their leaders even come and say, I would like to divide Jerusalem. I would like to divide Temple Mount. Say, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And actually, in this regard, both sides refuse the idea of dividing, and everyone say, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
It is important that an international body will be nominated to monitor any arrangement to the holy places, on the holy blessing in general. An international body that could safeguard the preservation of the status quo, of arrangement between Israelis and Palestinians about how to keep the Temple Mount, Al-Haram area as a place of worship with the freedom of access, that no party will violate the current situation of the physical situation of the shrine and compound, and keep order and security in this holy place.
Following an in-depth analysis of the attitudes and interests of the parties with regard to Jerusalem, while studying the lessons of negotiations held to date, including a discussion of Clinton's parameters, the Geneva Initiative, and proposals by the Canadian diplomatic team, JIIS researchers have formulated three possible alternatives: joint administration, territorial division, and establishing special international rule in the historic basin.
We would like to prevent violence in Jerusalem, because violence in Jerusalem is very dangerous. And it's very dangerous especially if this violence is very close to the Temple Mount. And because of that, we have to find a way how to stabilize the situation in Jerusalem, avoiding provocations of both sides in order not to arrive to violence.
JIIS researchers feel that the parties can compromise on the following principles: establishing a special regime for the historic basin and holy sites through an international body that will delegate authority, but will also supervise and have the ability to intervene when necessary. Continuing the present situation at the holy sites in terms of open access and administrative authority. Jewish neighborhoods under Jewish control and Arab neighborhoods under Palestinian control. A single open city, entry to which will be controlled by gates from the Israeli side and from the Palestinian side. Establishing a Palestinian capital in some Arab neighborhoods in East Jerusalem. Security arrangements under international supervision. JIIS proposes that the international entity delegate to the two sides the authority to administer their institutions as they have done in the past, and to preserve the status quo at the holy sites, including open access to the sites. If a comprehensive solution cannot be reached, JIIS proposes the option of administering the city through a temporary arrangement as part of a comprehensive interim agreement between Israel and the Palestinians.
In the last 2 months, 3 ministers of Netanyahu government came to us. and we brief them. I will not mention the names, and we give them some ideas, and we earth their comments about these ideas, and based on it we are trying to develop it more and more and more and more.
We believe that once the decision makers will use our analysis and information, as well as the analysis of the options that we portray to them, we believe that it will be a great success to the Jerusalem Institute and will justify our work.
The JIIS think tank frequently invites ambassadors, policymakers, emissaries, politicians, and researchers from all over the world and presents to them its research and its work. If you are interested in learning more about the possibilities for Jerusalem's future, you are invited to contact JIIS to expand your knowledge and find out more about the think tank's underlying assumptions and the alternative solutions it has to offer.